Blog Talk Radio.
Dedicate our life to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We have attitude. We rooting, and we go into that fight and to lay it on the line.
Boxing fans, this is the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast. I am your host, Chris Carlson. We are live on a Tuesday night at a normal time. Sorry for the last couple of weeks. Really, ever since the holidays, I've been kind of all over the place with the show, but we're back at the regular scheduled time. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Enjoyed a really interesting Super Bowl game. It was also interesting to see some boxing on the Super Bowl, or not on it, but being promoted. That was kind of nice to see. But anyway, we have a variety of things to talk about. I am your host, Chris Carlson. I don't know if I said that. I think I did. Either way, hi. How you doing? We got a variety of things to talk about. Inside the ring, and unfortunately, outside the ring too. Just ask Gervonta Davis. We'll get into him. That video surfaced of him manhandling, to put it lightly, a female, grabbing her by what looked to be the collar or the jacket or the shirt or all three. I don't know. They obviously were in an argument, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to act like I know the exact details, but Gervonta Davis did get arrested. This happened, it was before the Super Bowl, right? I think it was the night before, something like that. I don't really remember the exact date now, but we will be getting into that a little bit news-wise. There is some other news that we'll talk about, but we got to talk about last weekend. Now, I get it. The Andrade and Ugas main events, we knew going in there wasn't going to be much there, right? We were hoping that the B side, the Stay Busy side would be game. And at times they were game, but they just couldn't really mount something, that would really pressure them. But beyond that, the undercard fights that we got, we're going to talk about Showbox 2. The opening bout was a pretty damn good scrap on Showbox. We'll talk about that. Obviously, Bila against Galahad. Talk minorly about that for Showbox. But the DAZN fight, we had an upset. Joseph Diaz Jr. upset Tevin Farmer. And I can't really call it an upset because if you look at the boxing odds, but a lot of people slept on MJ over Daniel Roman, Uzbekistan, who now is the first of his, of his kind. But, Uzbekistan has a variety of former Olympians that are coming over here and trying to make some noise in divisions, right, in a variety of divisions. And he calls himself MJ, and he is definitely making noise. He already did make noise. That was the best fight of the weekend. There was also a great fight on the undercard of that FS1 that was only like 2 rounds, but it was a brawl, no doubt about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about most of the undercard fights are what we're going to actually dig into. We're not going to get too deep in some of that other stuff, obviously, but especially the 2 fights on the zone. Man. That was a pretty good fight. But Akhmadaliev, what is it? Akhmadaliev, MJ is what he calls himself. So we're going to go with that. Akhmadaliev, I think it is. Dalev. he fought really well. But like I said, this was a competitive fight. Very, very competitive. We'll definitely talk about that. Then we'll look towards the weekend as well. There are some fights kind of across the board, but not as busy as last weekend. DAZN has a card. Kell Brook is back. His opponent is not going to be much. What is it, DeLuca? Because, he's been out of the ring for a while. So you can't really expect much there. But Galahad and Marrero, Claudio Marrero, I think that's an interesting fight. There's some other stuff we'll talk about there. But the one that stands out is the Showbox main event. A Mongolian fighter who's being slept on this week too. I'm not going to necessarily say, I'm picking him like I picked MJ last week. But he's a pretty good fighter. They call him King Tug. That might be interesting against Gary Russell Jr. And, we'll see what Gary does. Supposedly, they got him back in February, so he says he wants 2 fights this year. And the fact that he, fought in February, he could even, knock on wood, I hope he doesn't, but he could even sustain a minor injury, probably to his hand, unfortunately, and still be able to fight a second fight. So I'm looking forward to that main event. Also, Gilmore Rigondeaux returns. He's actually going to go down a weight class, and I'm kind of interested to see how he does there. I mentioned last week, just how many just in general, 118 is just popping in general. But, it's split out, but there is a lot of talent. On the PBC side, there's a lot of fights for Rigo and others to face, so that should be interesting. Fulton last week was the one that stood out, so he's one of them. I went through that list last week, but it piques my interest a little bit. There is a prospect on the card in a minor step up, so we'll talk all about that. But we will talk a variety of news as well. Like I mentioned, Gervonta Davis was arrested in Miami today. He turned himself in. It stemmed from that video surfacing of him in an argument with his girlfriend and the mother of his child, and things got heated to the point where it seemed like he wanted to go. I don't even know what the argument was about. I'm not going to act like I do. There were some witnesses saying they were just arguing. And, he grabbed her in a way you don't need to grab anyone, especially a woman. You know what I mean? So he did get arrested based off that. I'm assuming he's just going to pay his fine or whatever, but who knows? Sometimes extracurricular stuff like this will get, and I hate to put it that gently, right? But these type of things, sometimes the judge can do more. So we'll see if they add up certain things, or did that case get dropped, but that one didn't. There's a variety of stuff that goes into it, but we'll talk a little bit about that anyway. There is some other news out there, whether it's news that there's a fight officially made like Shakur Stevenson. He's got a fight officially made, and I really like the fight where he's at in his career. Some people are not dumping on it, but just like, I wanted to see him against Josh Warrington, and I do get that, but he's still pretty young in his career, guys, and I think this opponent, as far as a guy that's going to come to you, much like a Warrington. I'm not saying they fight in the same exact style, but I actually think it's going to be good for him. I actually think it is going to be good for him. So we'll see how that goes. I'm actually getting some text messages here. I'm making sure that everything is on the up and up. It does seem like it is. The number to dial, by the way, is 646-381-4990. That's 646-381-4990. You can listen to the show any which way you want live right now, but once it hits the live stream, once that's over, then you got to be on your phone to listen to the full episode until it archives, obviously, very quickly. There is some other news. We got a little bit more of Demetrius Andrade's side with that Andre and Charlo stuff. This was from Chris Mannix interview, and I know Chris Mannix does a great job for the NBA. He's good at his job. I'm not saying that, but this DAZN stuff for him is just so clearly biased. I mean, all he could talk about is the Charlo fight, and yeah, we all want it. I mean, that was a couple of weeks ago, was the first time we addressed it. You know, I do think that he should take the fight if it's around $6 or $7 million. Go over there, try to beat Andre, get the money, and leave, whatever it is. But you'd think that there's no other middleweights or 168 guys when it comes to Mannix. That's all he talks about. So it's kind of interesting, though. We talked about how Steven Espinoza said that they offered career-high money to Andrade. Well, we heard it from the horse's mouth with a little bit more detail there. Redkach got a fine in suspension from the New York State Athletic Commission that just kind of has you scratching your head. And not necessarily that when someone bites someone that they shouldn't be disciplined like that. I'm actually okay with that if that was a consistency. We see dudes get popped for PEDs and get way less. Or at least less in general. So, you know, there is a variety of other news. James Kirkland is actually going to be back on television. Is he with Ann Wolf? I gotta know. No, I understand. I don't believe he's with Ann Wolf, but that's always usually his best fights, right? With Ann Wolf, his best performances. His thing has always been, what kind of shape is he going to come to the ring, obviously, right? But he's fighting a game dude who actually, for a comeback fight, it's not his first comeback fight. He had two kind of tune-ups, but I like this opponent actually for where he's at. I mean, he had before last, what was it, summer? I think he came back in the summer. So that'd be sometime 2019 summer. I don't believe he had fought since that Canelo fight. That was in 2015. So they're not just going to put him in there with something like that. But I like the fight. I just wonder, can Kirkland ever get back to form? Because, man, HBO had him pushed in the right direction. There was a lot of buzz around him coming up. He was obviously an all-action fighter. That was kind of the problem. Well, not really, though. I mean, he didn't have defense. We all know that. But it was more him just not focused sometimes. But so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about a couple other things. I do have a little segment for Boxing Twitter, which is, always funny to read some tweets that just makes you scratch your head or laugh. Sometimes you're in a bad mood, not having a good day. Go to Boxing Twitter. It'll brighten your day, or it'll fucking ruin your day. You know, one or the other. It's going to do something to you. And Bob also talked about Devin Haney. So according to Bob, I don't even know, he may be a top 10. He said there might be 10 other guys at lightweight that are better than him. Kind of, well, that's a head scratcher right there, but we get it. But anyway, so there's a variety of other news that we'll get to, news and notes and whatnot. I got some audio from that Mannix interview. I also have some audio. If we can get to it, I don't know if we'll cover it, but Keith Thurman was talking about Crawford, talking about crossing the street. You can understand what he's saying. Besides the WBO thing, that was kind of like, okay, whatever, dude. But I understand what he was saying. But we'll talk a little bit about that. So yeah, there's a variety of stuff that we'll definitely get into. Okay, and obviously, like I said, we're going to preview the weekend. There is some interesting fights, especially that main event. I really like that fight on Showtime. I think people are, like I said, I kind of think they're sleeping on that. I don't look at it as Jojo Diaz, was a good opponent in 2018, but over the last couple of years, because he only fights once a year, I mean, you got to say this is at least a decent fight. Sure, the guy's inexperienced on the pro level, but he has gone a fair amount around. So I wouldn't, he's got a good resume. But anyway, well, I shouldn't say resume in the pros, but he's got a good pedigree in what I've seen from him in the pros. It's like MJ last week. He had a good amateur pedigree, and he didn't have, like, good names on his resume. But when you watched him fight as a professional, you thought, okay, I can see this. You know, this guy's good. He's got talent. It was kind of undeniable. So sometimes that prospect stuff or that amateur stuff can not mean a whole lot when it comes to professional. Sometimes it does. So anyway, if this is your first time listening to the Rope It Up Radio podcast, it streams live right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope It Up Radio. Like I said, it streams live at archives right on Blog Talk. However, you can really listen to it pretty much across the board, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, also iHeartRadio, also part of the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network, which can be found really all across the platforms as well, including Spotify. In fact, you can use your Siri or Alexa through Spotify or TuneIn to find both platforms, or to find the Grueling Truth platform as far as on Spotify. Why don't you head on over to thegruelingtruth.com? That's thegruelingtruth.com. They have a great sponsor over there, betnow.eu, with the promo code TGT. Just making sure we're all good there. What the heck? Okay, sorry. I had a little thing going on there, but we're okay. One more thing, though. Oh yeah, by the way, I said head on over to thegruelingtruth.com. Well, it's football, it's boxing, it's basketball, it's baseball. It's a variety of stuff over there. Got a lot of different podcasts and some good articles to read as well. And real quick, if you're thinking about cutting the cord, or you have already, and you're just not happy, you should give a look here to AT&T TV Now. It's live streaming cable. I do it myself. You could try it for a 7-day free trial. You don't have any annual contract that's going to lock you down. The plans start as low as $60 a month. They have the cloud DVR. You can stream it anywhere. And Showtime is only $11 right now, because it does seem like, beyond like Clarissa Shields and like prospect stuff, it does seem like they're going to have more than they have, as far as, more than they had last year as far as boxing. So that's AT&T TV Now. Streaming cable is not to be confused with AT&T TV. And I've said that a couple times on accident. You can still sign up for that. That is, one of the – I kind of got it a little minorly confused while I read it. But that is that limited one. It's a cable system. It's not a streaming cable. And that, is available across the country. And in certain places, it's growing. California, Florida, New York, Northwest, up in the Northwest, Seattle, right here in Minneapolis, St. Louis, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, let's get into this. Because, right off the bat, we might as well just get Gervonta out of the way before we even get into the recap. Gervonta Davis, that video surfaced. I can't remember the exact date, but the video surfaced, and it was one of those things where you're like, dude, sure, you did. It wasn't as like when people were saying that he choked her. That obviously was the clickbait part. He wasn't out there choking her or punching her or beating her, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, of course, but either way, the way he manhandled her, it just doesn't need to be there. You just don't need to do that, not even to a guy, especially just in general, unless someone's attacking you and you got to do what you got to do. But we see this from time to time. Obviously, Kovalev has come up in the news with that, but there usually isn't a video. Even Shakur Stevenson, kind of was beating somebody up, or was landing punches, whatever. But it looked like he clipped a girl in the process. You know what I mean? So when it's on video, it tends to be even more of a big deal for obvious reasons. But you can't let your anger, your emotion, get the best of you like that, and we're seeing more and more that's what is happening to Gervonta. I mean, whether it's on social media or not, this is a public. Just the point is, if you're going to do something like that in public, you can't help to think what you're going to do in the privacy of your own home. I mean, that's really not some sort of stretch. You know what I mean? I mean, that's pretty basic stuff. You just can't do it, and that is anger. You know, I don't care what the reason was. Like I said, the witnesses around them said there was a big argument. So whether it's, you know, something, what was he too drunk? Was she too drunk? Were they both too drunk? Maybe they weren't drinking and they're just pissed at each other. Maybe they had a talk before they were going to go out, and if one of them got too drunk, the other one was going to tell them. You know, I don't really care what the reasons were. The point is, you just can't get that emotional to the point where you're going to do that. You just can't. You just can't. You know what I mean? You just can't do it. And so he got arrested. We'll see what the charges, you know, ultimately will be. He turned himself in. And there are people defending him like, dude, he didn't punch her. He didn't choke her. Yeah, I know that. He definitely didn't choke her. It didn't look like he was choking her. It looked like he grabbed her by the jacket. It was, whether it's the collar of the jacket or the shirt or whatever. You know, I could see if it was a dude who was physically messing with you and you basically just grabbed him to scare him and stop him, you know, or, you know, you could do that to your kid. I know some people will say you don't grab your kid like that, but maybe you're going to send a message as long as you're not actually doing the choking or punching, and you just grab, you know, the kid by the shirt and say, hey, dude, listen up. I'm talking to you right now. You could do that, I think. I think that's okay, actually. But in that sense, you just can't lose your emotion like that. I mean, it's pretty freaking obvious. You know what I mean? And anybody that's trying to cover up for him, you're obviously just a fanboy, or you're just gonna, or maybe you're just pro PBC regardless. You know, we've talked about the Kovalev situation on here. We've talked about a variety of people, Brown, a variety of people. Marcus Brown, just to finish that off. I'm trying to think of some other people of late, but you know, you just can't do that in general. You just can't, and obviously it's anger, it's emotion. You can't control it. So whether that's liquor or not liquor or whatever the F it is, you can't let it get there. You just can't. So we'll obviously follow up on the story a little bit, and let's just get into some of this recap, because this was a good one, and it was kind of a cool venue. I heard some people thought it was the same venue that was in Bad Boys. I didn't see Bad Boys. I'm assuming they're thinking this one. Maybe it was one in the past. I actually don't know, but the shot they showed, the screenshot, comparatively, kind of looked like it actually. But I liked the venue. It kind of reminded me of the Armory, is maybe a little bit more open, but I liked how you were on top of the ring. You know what I mean? It seemed like it was. I think they said it could fit up to 4,000. So that's kind of cool. I like that. Anyway, Daniel Roman, obviously coming off a great fight last year, one of the best fights of the year, unified champ, and I mean, the dude who calls himself MJ, Akhmadaliev, I can't say it right. Akhmadaliev, that's what it is. Akhmadaliev. But MJ is what he goes by. Akhmadaliev is his last name. We're going to go with MJ just because it's easier to say. Plus, I'm going to be saying his name a lot because he won a good portion of the first chunk of rounds. I gave him actually the first 3 rounds. He was landing like really hard left hooks early with his jab. There were like 2-way moments in those, in those rounds, but I don't know. I did mention though, MJ leaps with his, I think his right hand or his, I think it was his right hand, his right hook, and he almost got caught off balance leaping with that right hook. But other than that, he didn't really show too many flaws. He landed the better shots, and he had this way of attacking but staying at range and getting out of range. He's got really good footwork. Just that timing. He was catching with clean shots. But then I thought Roman made a nice little run. I thought he did win the fourth and fifth. There was a nice uppercut that may have won him that round, could have stole that round. You could also say there was a late, really good body shot by MJ, Akhmadaliev. Akhmadaliev? I can't say his name for some reason. That was a close round, the fifth round. So I got it about 3-2 after 5. Akhmadaliev, it was a closer round than the sixth. I thought he won it, though. I gave him the seventh as well. The last minute or so, I thought he landed some better shots, cleaner shots, heavier shots. I gave Roman, though, the eighth. He landed some really nice left hooks and a late uppercut and just this 1-2 punch that was starting to get through. And then, some of these rounds are really, really close. Like the ninth round. It was a great round, back and forth round. And Roman was starting to get his timing really well. And so maybe early in some late shots by MJ, but in the middle, some of those clean shots that he won. So that round could have went either way. I did give the 10th round to MJ. I thought he started to kind of outwork him and kind of overwhelm him with the heavier shots. And by that time, I think Daniel Roman had gotten cut too. I think it was an accidental headbutt. Really fun stuff in the 11th. Both guys going back and forth. But Akhmadaliev, that rapid fire combos he was throwing would kind of won that round for me. I did have Roman win in the last round, uppercuts to the head and body. He was landing good body shots too. So I had it about 7-5-ish. 6-6 cool, 8-4. Maybe there's a 7-4-1. Maybe it's 6-5-1. Somewhere in there. I think the highest I could go is 8-4. I think it's more like a 7-5, something like that. But like I said, MJ becomes the first unified champ from Uzbekistan, which is pretty dope. And like I said, they have plenty of talent that's invading the Western Shore. So that's pretty dope. I'm excited to see those guys come over. But when you look at the punch rate, Roman was busier in spots. He threw like at least 200 more punches. 728, to 498, 153 to 150. That was the thing, though. The more accurate guy at 31%, and just the clean, heavier shot, I thought, did go to Akhmadaliev. I really believe that. But it was a good fight. It was a very good fight, and I'm looking forward to the rematch. They talked about how Roman didn't need to take this fight, and they kind of were a little one-sided. They were one-sided for Roman, like making reasons why he shouldn't have taken this fight, because they said he had a 6-week camp, and which is kind of like, well, that shouldn't have been scheduled like that. Then that's the promotion fault, if anything. Of course, maybe the fight had to happen by a certain time, now that I think about it, because, those purse bids come and they give you a time to work it out, and they say this fight, when they make the mandatory, you have to fight it by that time. So maybe I'm wrong there, although if you say I just need a couple of weeks to heal a little bit more and make sure I'm okay, they sometimes give you that. But they'll give you an exemption or whatever, but he did hurt himself, Daniel Roman, and he's coming off a really tough fight. He had been out for, 10 months or so, because he fought late April? Yeah, he fought late April last year. So it's about 9 months, 10 months or something like that. So I hope there's a rematch, I really do. I forgot if there was a rematch clause. I can't remember. It didn't go to purse bid, so I don't think it went to purse bid. I don't know. But either way, a very good performance by both guys. But I thought MJ did win the fight. Very competitive, though. Good fight. Then we had Tevin Farmer and Joseph Diaz Jr. And Farmer said he hurt his hand. I think in the first or second round, he came back after it. I think it was the first round. And he came back and said he hurt his hand. And it was his jab hand, which obviously does hurt him, right? Clearly. I gave him the first round. Not a whole lot happening. I think he gave Diaz the second round. Diaz got cut really, really badly, though, and it looked like it was going to be stopped, considering, it's only the second round. It was from an accidental head, but Farmer was a little busy in that round, but I gave it to Diaz. I gave the fourth to Farmer. Kind of little inside fighting going on, though, more and more. You could kind of see that's what it would slowly but surely kind of turned into. I just thought he was outworking him and just jabbing okay. Some decent lands by Diaz, but not enough. But then Diaz, it kind of shifted, and he started bringing, consistent pressure, not a crazy amount of punches, but he did keep bringing the pressure. He did find sometimes – kind of started out one shot at a time, whether it was head to the body, and he brought in the uppercut as well. And then he started, putting those combinations together too. And it was weird. By the fourth or fifth round, maybe even earlier, and I didn't, notice it, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it now, that Diaz was or not Diaz, but Farmer was just, he was doing this weird blink thing. It was like, whoa, what's going on? Is he okay? And is something going on? Does he have something wrong with his eye? Is there something wrong we don't know beyond the broken, or I shouldn't say the broken hand, but the hurt hand? And so that kind of threw me off a little bit, because you're looking at him and you're just thinking, what the hell is going on? Why does he keep blinking? But he also would he kept looking at the clock like he was tired too. So, and it just got worse and worse as far as looking up at the clock. So, I don't know what was going on there. But he did go to the hospital. He got a clean bill, so he didn't get – some people were like, does he have a concussion? Is there something wrong with his eye? What's going on? And I guess it was just his hand that bothered him. They didn't say that he had a broken hand, so he must have just hurt it, the knuckle or the hand or whatever. I did give him the sixth round. He landed some good body shots and jabs and stuff. Or no, I'm sorry, I gave Diaz the sixth round. I was looking at the seventh round. You did see Farmer pressure a little bit more. Both guys are kind of landing in spots there, but then it got harder and harder to give Farmer another round. Diaz, for me, got the eighth, got the ninth. He started, like I said, landing hooks to the body and then landing it to the head, coming in with more combinations. And all that pressure started adding up. And like I said, it kind of just looked gassed. He would just, where there was an open spot in Farmer's body and in his defense, Diaz would just find it. It was really, really impressive. For Diaz, some of these fights he started too late. Some of these fights he hasn't lived up to what he was as a prospect. And, dude, when you look at this, so he won the fight, 116-112, and I believe, was it 115-113? Oh, no, it was a split decision. Is that what it was? Split decision? I can't remember now. I think I had it split decision, but I had it for Tevin Farmer, if I remember correctly, or majority decision. But I didn't have it, I'm saying prediction-wise. But I had Diaz winning clean enough. But I do want to see if the hand, being that it's his jab hand, which would add up. Reasons are reasons, excuses are excuses, whatever. But he jabs a lot, as we know. And if it was hurt, yeah, that would play into it. They're going to have to give Diaz some time, though, because he needs to heal that cut. So he needs at least a few months, like 2 months or something, to heal that up, and then kind of see where it's at. Was it September? Yeah, mid-September when Fury fought, and he's fighting in February, and people are still a little worried about it. So they're going to have to give Diaz some time. I wonder if Tevin Farmer takes a fight in that time. I don't know, but he's got a rematch clause, so he said he's going to take it. So big shouts out to Diaz. And, man, when you look at that 2012 Olympic team, dude, damn, that's a good team, dude. I mean, when you look at them in the pros, they didn't have a lot of hype coming out per se. They kind of had a hype leading into the Olympics, but they didn't do a ton. But man, they sure have done some damage, no doubt about it. So shouts out to 2012 U.S. team. Then you had Jake Paul knock out that dude. That was an easy fight. There wasn't much to it. Eddie said something about 100,000 subscribers that night, whether it's 75 or 50 or 100 or 125, whatever the hell it is. We're in their situation. It is worth it to them. I know boxing fans not going to want to hear it, but like I said, as long as they keep producing good fights too, I don't have as much problem with it. Now we'll see where it goes with this KSI or Logan Paul and AB and not that AB, the football or the ex-football player right now, Antonio Brown. But anyway, on to the main event, Demetrius Andrade against Keeler. We knew it's kind of like that Ugas fight, right? We knew we weren't going to get much in this fight. Stay busy fight, mandatory, yada, yada, yada. He did, however, once again, land a huge – I think it was the first punch that landed. A quick left hand, first punch, boom, knocked him down. Then he kind of was going for it, trying to go for the knockout. He did land several flush shots with his hands. Scored another left – I think it was a left hand that knocked him down again the second. By round 9, it was 146-34. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I'll say this, Andrade's reaction was if he had just kind of brutally KO'd him. He was like, yeah. It was kind of like he was just pumped. Obviously everyone's going to be happy when they win, but it did kind of look like I don't know. It was kind of funny how pumped he was for the win, as if he had just really just scored this highlight reel knockout. But, that's boxers. They do that all the time. We see that from time to time. I know some people commented on. That's why I'm kind of commenting on it. But I didn't really look too deep into that. And I also didn't look too deep into the horrible performance that I saw some people doing. Now, maybe it's just PBC fanboys that are saying that, but I did see some people that aren't all the way like that say it. And I also, we've gotten a lot of protection of Andrade too now. Ever since he's been with DAZN and this whole Charlo thing. And it is kind of funny, though, because a lot of these folks that are protecting Andrade now and saying, feeling bad for him now used to just destroy him on Twitter. Just destroy him. And he has plenty of things as far as his track record, taking fights or making decisions or whatever. But as far as the fight goes, here's the thing. He's just not a good come-forward closer per se. That's not his strength. At mid-range, in the middle of the ring, in a skill fest, having somebody come to him, he's much better at that. Think Jermall Charlo against Jackson, not Julian Jackson. It was, what the hell was his name? It was Jackson, but it wasn't Julian. It was, I can't remember his name. But anyway, against John Jackson Jr. Remember, he couldn't, it took a while for Charlo to come forward, with, and win a bunch of rounds. Even now, at the highest level, it's not his strength, but he's adapted his game. And you can see, although he was losing to Harrison, he ultimately got the job done on the top level. But as far as Andrade, I kind of look at it very similarly, because he's just not a good that's not his thing. You can even see he's a little awkward. Once he passed the huge punches, he's just not overly comfortable in that mode, So I don't expect him to look great and just destroy someone. Now, some of the argument on Twitter was, well, Charlo would have got this dude out. Yeah, actually, Jermall Charlo, who he'd be fighting at 160. Not that the fight's going to happen, but that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about Jermall. But Jermall is a come-forward fighter, and that's his thing. So, yeah, if he had, down that early and that hurt, yeah, I do think he'd take him out earlier. And he probably may take him out earlier. I don't know. But everyone's got strengths and weaknesses. And Andrade's is coming forward like that. He was going for it. He didn't really pull off the gas too much. And he got the easy win. He didn't lose a round. So he's just not that good at coming forward. That's really, I think, all it came down to. I don't really look at it. What was it, the 9th round TKO or something like that? Other than that, I don't really look forward to or I don't look at it like it was a bad performance. I think a lot of that has to do with the Twitter beef with the pro DAZN and the pro PBC. You know what I mean? But I will say that before he signed with DAZN, and I'm not saying you couldn't shit on Andre, because you can. He has made some bad decisions. He had some promotional issues. We all get that. But the way he is protected now and the way he's boosted up by some of these guys, and, now people care. What's with all the hate for Andre? It's like, dude, you hated on him too. Now he's with DAZN. Now you don't hate him. Kind of funny how that works. But no, I didn't find anything wrong with Andre's performance. He's just not a great come-forward fighter. That's all. Now he talks about the Charlo. He talks about the Charlo fight. He talks about there's not that many. Unfortunately, there's not really that many fights on his side that he can get besides Golovkin and Canelo right now. It sounds strange because he's fighting with, he went to the zone for the money and for this, or for the big fights, but they haven't delivered just yet. So he said he's willing to go up to 168 to fight Billy Joe Saunders. We'll see if Eddie Hearn wants to make that fight or if he wants to make Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders. Now, the way the boxing world works, and if you put on your promoter cap, you probably – Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith is not known here. So the best location if you're going to fight Billy Joe or Callum, not that Billy Joe has a big fan base there, but it would sell more here than there than here in the UK. Obviously, that's not even up for debate. But what would for sure sell and fill an arena would be Callum Smith and Billy Joe. So we'll see if BJ Saunders and him get it on. There is talk about some other names for Callum Smith. One of them is the guy that a lot of people want him to rematch, from his last fight, John Ryder. So I would be perfectly fine with that. And then, it's too bad Andre's got to go to 168. Then again, it does allow him to win another belt. But I know Billy Joe has said he'd go down. I just don't know if he'd go down for Andre or if he'd only go down for Canelo and Golovkin. I have no clue about that. And we have to preference that on DAZN, they had made a Billy Joe Saunders fight with Andre, and Billy Joe Saunders' nasal spray got in the way. So let's not forget about that. It's just if you look at the middleweight fights, since all these folks have signed up, Golovkin, Canelo, Saunders, and all that, like Sulecki and Andre's a good fight. That Billy Joe Saunders would have been great, right? Unfortunately, it hasn't been made. And Billy Joe decided to go get a belt at a different division, instead of taking that fight again. Because it did get recalled, if I remember correctly. But then you have last May, you had Canelo Jacobs, which was a great matchup on paper. And then you had a Golovkin Derevchenko that was a PBC fighter. It wasn't a DAZN fighter. It was a PBC fighter. And it was from a purse bid, the threat of a purse bid in the Mando situation. That's how that fight got made. So, I get Eddie Hearn and why and same with Mannix, because he's getting paid by DAZN. I get why they're just talking about Charlo. And that's cool. Talk about Charlo, but talk about everybody else too. Let's make these fights at DAZN, because if Charlo's not going to take that offer, I think he should. All of us pretty much, most of us think that. But if he's not going to do it, it can't be the only reason why they're not making fights at DAZN at 160 and 168 that are high-profile fights. Forget the profile, just like, top-level fights. It can't be only Al Heyman is the reason why 160 and 168 isn't popping since you got the division. You can't sit there, Eddie Hearn, and say, you got to basically sign here or at least take a fight here if you want to fight and be, a great, to climb the ladder and to take over the division. You got to be with DAZN, and I agree. But, okay, then make the other fights. But anyway, I'm not going to sit here and bang my head on this too much longer. We'll see, though. We'll see. Because we don't want it to – what happened to Tevin Farmer is, he did have a $2 million payday. And I understand people are going to say this, just like 2 weeks ago when we talked about this, or last week or whatever. He did, Tevin had $2 million offer. That's the biggest offer. It would have taken him, based off what he was getting paid, it would have taken him 3 fights to get to that fight. And if you're going to take an L, you might as well take it against Gervonta instead of Davis or Diaz, to be honest with you. So he missed out on his career high. Now, that can happen to Charlo, too. Charlo might miss out on that $7 million. Does Charlo make $3 million a fight? Maybe. I don't know. I think he makes $2 million. But does he make 2.5 or 3? We don't know. But let's say he makes 2.5. Well, that would take him 3 fights too. Then, if he makes 3 a fight, which we don't know if that's true. And I say the 2 confidently only because I base it off the pay structure over since these PBC guys, since the PBC's been here, basically, and Al Heyman in general, once you become a main event, once you start to grow your name, you generally get at least $1 million down for the guarantee, for the, for the books on the books, and then you get some money on the back end too. Not talking pay-per-view, but you do get more money. So is this guarantee $2 million? I'm guessing because think about it. Eddie Hearn's been offering $2, $3, $4 million to him before this big $6 or $7 million offer. And I say $6 or $7 million because remember he said in the ballpark of $7 million. So is that 6? Is that 6.5? 6.5? Whatever it is. And remember he did put his finger on the actual number. So I don't believe it's actually $7 million. Otherwise, he probably would have showed it. And he used the own words, neighborhood. But fucking $6 million, $7 million. What's the difference at the end of the day? I know it's a difference, but not enough. So it would take minimum 2 fights. Let's put it that way. Minimum 2 fights. And maybe Al said, "Here, I'll give you $6 million to fight Eubank and then Derevchenko." Now, can he lose those fights? Yeah, he can. And if he loses it, he'll miss out on having another belt and that quick payday. 1 fight, $6-something million. That could happen. It just happened to Tevin Farmer. It could happen to Charlo. You never know. It definitely could happen. And then it's just kind of like, well, I understand the whole thing about, Gervonta could go over there and make a little bit more money, but You know Gervonta's making at least $3 million. The guy just did $2.5 million at the gate. You don't think he's making a guaranteed $3 million? And I say that because that's 2 fights for what he's getting offered, and that's against mandatories. This doesn't have to be against a star. I mean, this next fight he may get. His next fight, if it's against Leo Santa Cruz, he probably gets the same money as he's been offered. I could see him easily making $5 or $6, $7 million on that. Who knows? Either way, though, bottom line is Tevin Farmer missed out on his biggest payday, and that's just the fact. It was $2 million, and he made in the 700 to 800,000 range, and that's why I say it would take him 3 fights just to get there, and you still wouldn't have that name. You'd have a bigger name fighting Davis someplace in the Barclays or something than you'd have fighting any of these other guys at 130. I mean, besides Leo Santa Cruz, but that's not going to happen. So we'll see if it happens to Charlo next. If he gets knocked out, randomly gets caught by frickin' Eubank Jr., because that's what Eubank has is power. He may not be the finesse guy, but he's got power. There's no doubt about that. And Derevchenko is no walkover, so we'll see how this goes. But let's get through the rest of this stuff here because, the FS1 card, we knew Ugas was going to roll over Mike Dallas Jr. We know why he took that fight. Putin got cut, so it delayed him. So was it the WBA or IBF? One of the two. WBA, actually. Not that it matters, but I think it was the WBA. They actually they said you could take a bout. You could take a bout because you got to wait because he's cut. Because he was the new, WBA guy, the secondary guy. Putin just won it. But now, a couple weeks ago, Putin popped for a drug test on his A sample. They're waiting for the B sample. So it could be something completely else. Ugas might get spent. You never know because he'll be basically a mandatory in a sense. Now, maybe not for the WBA, but it's really interesting to see how this is all going to play out. It could be Lipinets and Ugas for that WBA because, they may drop Putin. We'll see. But as far as that FS1, Ugas, just stay busy. If there's anybody, that deserves stay busy, I think it's fine. He hadn't fought since July. He was about to fight a quality opponent in Putin. He stayed busy. I don't care. It is what it is. It's just like this Andrade thing. It is what it is. But there was something on the undercard for us. I'll tell you what. That Guajardo, Raymond Guajardo was 5-0. He went against Clay Collard, and this dude, this was his last fight because he's had he was 5-2-3. And this was supposedly his last fight. He just took it I'm going to just kind of go into the real world and kind of do, try to make some money, try to live and all that. And Guajardo thought the same because Guajardo's I'm just going to go out and beat this dude out of here. This isn't going to be a problem at all. And boy, oh boy, was he wrong. I mean, he came out with no respect whatsoever. And I mean, he was so aggressive, dude. But both of them, he was aggressive early, landed some really big shots. But then Collard fired back, and he landed a few left hooks, a couple right hooks as well. Then he landed a left hook that just dropped him. It was a minute into the round. Boom, hit the deck. Did the unbeaten prospect, Guajardo. And it just turned into a slugfest, dude. It was just a slugfest. There was another shot that actually slumped with Guajardo over momentarily. Another knockdown. Then he gets up and he lands a left hook that causes Collard to go down. So we got ourselves a round of a year right in this fight, dude. I mean, it was just a brawl. And they just went right back into the war. In fact, it was 31-17 in the first round. They were really throwing bombs. They went right back into it, like I said. Guajardo's nose was bloody. He looked really hurt, especially to the body. He got hurt. There was just more, there was just more punishment. Basically, it was a huge upset. Just a long flurry of shots that they finally had a TKO, 60-27. As far as power shots, not even 2 full rounds. And Collar threw 100 power shots, landed 60 of them. So that shit was rough, dude. That was a good fight, though. That was super fun to watch. Just while it lasted, it was just kind of like, hey, that was fun, sweet. You know what I mean? That was a hell of a brawl. So yeah. And then there was also Omar Juarez against Martinez. He pretty much handled it. He boxed pretty well in spots. You could start to see him timing Martinez, Omar, timing him after a while, kind of doing a stick and move, sometimes darting kind of in and out. I don't know, Martinez would land some stuff, but he just wasn't landing enough. Then you could see it kind of got rough in the clinch this fight. Martinez was trying to kind of bully him a little bit. In the 7th round, there was a left hook, I think, with like 75 seconds left. Yeah, I marked it down, 75 seconds, and a hard right hand late in there. And really the jab brought him the victory. He was more aggressive down the stretch, maybe in the 7th or 8th, but pretty basic fight for Omar. Got rounds in, whatever. 87-33 on the punch stat as far as, that goes. So he basically handled it. No big story there. He moves on. And then we had Michel Rivera against Fidel Maldonado. And although it was kind of like the main event on Showbox, in my opinion. Oops, I hit the mic. It was a little like that because you couldn't give this guy a lot of rounds, but within the round, I think he did get something out of this fight rather than just going rounds. I mean, yeah, it's nice that he went I think he went the full distance, right? I mean, he went the or no, maybe he did finish him. God, I can't remember. But either way, he was just landing the better shots early. Really, like I said, the second round was kind of close. He was starting to get to the body more. The 4th round was kind of competitive, but he started to land his stiff jab, started to bring a little bit more pressure, landed the overhand right, started walking him down a little bit more, started wearing him out too. So a few really hard right hands later in that fight in the 8th round, a left hook. Great exchanges, though, with like 60 seconds into that round. But several huge right hands, heavy right hands by Rivera. And minor two-way stuff, competitive 9th, competitive 10th, but nothing that stands out as far as a two-way fight. Like I said, he had been kind of taking care of business as a prospect, so it's probably good that he went rounds. Maldonado, I thought that was a good opponent for him as far as a minor step up, and, he took care of business. Now, as far as the Showbox, that main event, once again, you can't really give rounds to Collado. Ruben Villa won almost every round. Maybe 1, maybe 2. But within the rounds, he actually did have to work for it. So he got something out of that. Collado was actually very aggressive. He was bringing the pressure. And at times, Ruben was like on the move too much, and he was moving laterally too much. And at other times, he was pivoting. He was landing flashy punches, of course, his jab, and then he'd get out of there, then come back. And so the quick combination, so he showed me a fair amount. His jab was definitely a difference. Showing some pretty good defense, too, but when you look at the punch stat, 217 to 116. 217 to 153. Both of them pretty active. 776 over just 10 rounds, 628. For Ruben was the 628, but he landed at a 35% clip compared to Collado at 20. And then that jab, that's what I meant to say, 116 to 65. So, like I said, did I give him a bunch of rounds? No, but I do actually think that Ruben got something out of that fight because of the constant pressure that was going on. What is it? Sheleshtik, something like that, going against Veron. That was a decent fight in spots, and then it became basically one-sided. Not much to take out of that. Sheleshtik, he won. I mean, he started really out-punching him. 178 to 135. They both threw a fair amount of punches, so wasn't really didn't get a whole lot out of that one, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. However, the first fight, that was a good fight. That opening bout, they called it a draw. It was Sagawa. You had Sagawa, who was like 12-2, right? Sagawa against Habasorian, who was 9-1-1. So it's really at a prospect level, it's kind of a crossroads fight for him, and it was a back and forth fight. I mean, it was 2-2 after four. The fifth round, you could have had a draw round. Seriously, I gave it. Well, it could have been 10-10. I kind of think an uppercut stole the round though for Sagawa. But then old boy came right back, Habasorian, and it was a slower round, but he started clowning him, playing to the crowd and all that, and then but he didn't do a whole lot out of that, so it was kind of like, okay, I mean, sure, but he started pressuring more Habasorian, but I kind of think down the stretch, Sagawa, Sagawa, that's what it is. Sagawa, I think he was like landing counters. He was landing punches and then pivoting, uppercuts, hooks. That eighth round was actually a really fun round. Both of them definitely getting it in. It was 78-74 for Sagawa and 77-75 for Habasorian, and then 76-76. And I was okay with that. It was 4-4 I had it, or 4-3-1 Sagawa. I thought he actually did. If I had to pick a winner, I thought he did, but I was okay with the draw. They both threw very similar amount of punches, 429 to 430. But 130 to 100, that Sagawa, to me, he landed the better shot, and also jab 42 to 14. So that actually was a really fun fight. Or I shouldn't say a really fun fight, but it was a good fight. It was a good fight compared to the other ones. It was just too one-sided. You didn't get as much of a test as you wanted out of that. And I believe that is it for, am I missing something? There was a fair amount. But yeah, Omar Juarez and Michel Rivera moved on, and we'll see what's next for Ugas. But if you haven't seen that round one with Guajardo and Collard, oh my gosh! I mean, both rounds. It's only a 2-round fight, so you don't have to sit there all day and watch it. But that shit was fun. That's probably the round. I mean, I'd have to say that's the round of the year. Now, it's not one of those fights that's gonna stick for fight of the year top 5, But you give this maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 rounds. If it looked like that, it could have been up in the top tier for fight of the year. Just because these dudes were going at it, the stakes weren't high comparatively to what's going to come down the line for fight of the year, more than likely. But fun while it lasted. The best fight of the weekend, though, as far as competitive nature and meaning, was clearly Roman and MJ. Big win for MJ there. And then, of course, Diaz's upset as well was a big deal over Tevin Farmer. So I think that about wraps it up. DAZN FS1 Showbox. We will start to look forward here for the weekend. Gary Russell Jr., who wants all the smoke. He said he's going to fight twice this year. That's right. Twice this year. I kind of believe him. I actually tweeted that yesterday to someone that, asked the question, you really think he's going to fight twice a year this year? And I think he's going to. Now, I also said that tweet might not age well, but I do think he will. I don't think he's going to come out, and talk all that gang of stuff and then not fight twice. You know what I mean? Now, knock on wood on injury, but, he does have to worry about King Tug. King Tug, right in front of the Mongolian fighter, was it Nyambayar or whatever? He's got a pretty good fighter in front of him. We'll break that down a little bit. Rigondeaux returns against Solis. It's really just a get to 118 and feel it out type fight. This fight was supposed to happen before, but Solis had a little visa problem. So that's all solved. That's the co-feature. And DAZN, a couple of, ESPN Plus, DAZN have cards. Kell Brook returns. And Galahad and Marrero is a fight that I'm looking forward to. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. I believe Claudio Marrero, was who King Tug fought. Did King Tug get hurt? Is that why he's been out this long? I think I know he's the mandatory. Maybe he was waiting for that. I thought he got hurt though after that fight. Maybe I'm wrong, but he did fight in the. He fought actually. Like what the hell? What date was that he fought? I can't remember now. For some reason I thought. Oh, it was at the beginning of the year, wasn't it? Is that what it was? Let me check really quick. I can't remember exactly what that is. Just real quick, I got box rec here real quick. Nyambayar, King Tug. Like I said, Mongolian. Yeah, that was about a year ago, a little over a year ago. It was on the undercard of Josecito Lopez and Keith Thurman. For some reason, I was thinking that was on the undercard of Pacquiao and Broner, but I was wrong. So he fought Oscar Escandón. Doesn't have like big names. He has an unbeaten prospect that I don't believe. I think I had seen him fight once. Other than that, the last two fights he's looked good in. He went the distance, so he got that 12 rounds. I think he went 8 and did he go 10 again too? I can't remember exactly, but we'll talk a little bit about more of that fight and the weekend and whatnot. But we do have some news to get to. Actually, already covered that Gervonta stuff, so we won't bang our head on that. Since we are just fresh off a recap, we are going to get into a couple items. James Kirkland has a fight on TV again. He's trying to make a comeback. He's had 2 warm-up bouts. Let's see if he's ready for that. I'll give you the details. Shakur Stevenson has a fight scheduled. According to Bob Arum, Devin Haney isn't shit. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, not really, but he's just green around the ears, I guess, is what he's saying. I gotta have a little boxing Twitter stuff too, quotes, tweets to read. The shit is some of these tweets that you see are just like, oh my god. So I've been trying to screenshot them. You know what I mean? Just to get a good laugh. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta laugh, and but some of this shit is just oh my god, dude. You know what I mean? Some of this stuff is like, really, dude? For real? Like, oh my god, But anyway, and sometimes it'll be like management, like behind the scenes boxing shit. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. That's really what you're going with? Like, damn. So yeah, oh shit. Okay. My bad. Sorry. I just I read another text wrong. I totally went under the wrong person. I was like, Anyway, how about I shut up and get to some of this? Oh, like I said, though, we were actually just on that Andrade stuff. And Andrade, now, if people are going to say it and they use their own words, because for some reason, sometimes people believe certain people. If Eddie Hearn says it, then everybody, or not everybody, but some people believe it. The pro-DAZN anti-PBC. Now, when Eddie Hearn says something, the pro-PBC and the anti-DAZN people, they'll sit there and freak out and say he's bullshit, he's lying, Charlo shouldn't do anything. We're not going to go over that exact scenario again. The last two shows we talked about it. But this is from the horse's mouth. So Stephen Espinoza, just to catch you up, Espinoza on the Boxing Voice. Great interview, by the way. What's up, Ness and Company? Think about it. Like Espinoza said, it was a career high offer, and he had gotten $1.5 million for Sulecki. So the fact that I guess you can kind of do the math. The fact that Tevin Farmer didn't take the $2 million, they could have just shifted it over there. I don't know. And maybe they offered them both and they had $2 million for both of them. No clue. But all I could go off of is Espinoza, who would know his career high at the time. And also, we know that he made 1.5 at Sulecki, and that was in the summer. So, but for those who didn't believe Espinoza, it's funny because some people replied to me saying Espinoza's full of shit. And sure, in some ways, when he tweets, he is full of shit. But the guy knows if you're going to sit there and believe Eddie, you can't just believe Eddie and not Espinoza. And now we have it from the horse's mouth. So let's go to that and hear what he had to say to Chris Mannix. And Chris Mannix works for DAZN. He's big on NBA, does a great job in the NBA, whatever. But he's just so pro DAZN, it gets sickening after a while. And you're like, dude, we get it. We all want to see the Charlo fight, but let's talk about other stuff. But listen to this part of the interview. I got two different clips for you here, okay? So here we go.
The Charlo fight. Why do you think that fight hasn't happened?
All I can do is control myself and what I can lay on the table for what I can do being here with DAZN, and doing the deals with Matchroom. Now, yeah, could I have went with Showtime, but at the end of the day, making that fight to go over there and sign with Showtime for, maybe a multi-fight deal just for one person didn't really make sense when that person, Charlo Brothers, however, they got their promotional company. They can come here for one fight. And then what I'm hearing is this Eddie or DAZN is still willing to give him a multi-fight deal on top of that because they are claiming their own promoter. So, I mean, the ball's in their court at this point.
So you could have gone over to Showtime to PBC.
I mean, that would be the only reason to actually go over there. That's it. Is to get that fight. But I think if I want the fight. There's no reason for me to have to.
Right. So we got that. We already knew that. Oops, I'm playing the other. What the hell? Whoops. So we got that figured out. We already knew that because Espinoza said that. But now, some of those folks that replied and deleted their stuff and all that, because they, that was said Espinoza was talking shit. Well, obviously he was talking shit. And actually, they threw in, he threw in Andrade that it could have possibly been a multi-year fight. Now, I understand what he said. Like, why go over there just for one fight when I have potential fights with more middleweights? And remember, Danny Jacobs was still a middleweight when he signed there originally. I'm actually having some weird internet issues here. Sorry about that. I thought that was there. We go. No. So yeah, I understand that part of it. It made sense on the surface to go, or not even on the surface, just in general, to go to DAZN because you had Golovkin, you have Canelo, you have Danny Jacobs. Those are big names, and the guarantee is big, right? Cool. So I get it. But you can't say they offered me a fight in a possibly, a multi-fight deal and then go sign with DAZN and then go holler that you wanted the Charlo fight. That's what I was trying to say last week. Like, I think both these guys are willing to fight each other. I just think they want to get to a bigger name before they fight each other. That's all. That's what I've said from the beginning. I think both guys should have taken the offer. And this is the second part of the clip, which is actually quite telling for Andre. So here it is.
For me to go, as far as like that makes lucrative sense and makes sense as far as getting fights and, what type of, again, what's going to change my life when I step into the ring versus me going to Showtime, Top Rank. What are they going to do and how much money they going to put up for me to just fight Luke Keyless?
You see what I'm saying? Right there is the key. There is the key. You see how he said they are willing to pay me more to fight guys like this. And overall, he was thinking about his family. He's thinking about it's a 4-fight deal, extension too, because we're talking about the extension. He had already signed, a 3-fight deal or whatever. So that's not me talking. That's not just Espinoza talking. That's him. So, like I said, I did see some deleted responses and replies once that clip started getting out there. So it is what it is. Both of them could have taken career-high fights or career-high money. And I understand what Andre's saying. He's like, well, dude, I can make more money over here to fight you. And that is true. I believe he would get more than $2 million. Yeah, I think he'd probably get $4 million or something. I don't know. So I get that, and we're going to find out how big this extension was as far as per fight. And I could even see if it's a bigger fight, he may get paid more money. It might be $2 million and then $4 million for him. I don't really know, but so I get that. But you can't go hollering and hooting about a fight that you want so bad. If you want it so bad, you could have taken the one fight deal, beat him. Probably have to beat him again because there's going to be rematch clauses in this shit regardless. People say it's a one-off, but is it? Is it really a one-off? Because they're both going to have rematch clauses. They're champions. You don't think they're going to have a rematch clause? I'd be really surprised if they did. But anyway, there is 3 minutes left of the live stream. 646-381-4990. We got a little bit more news we're going to get to, and then we're going to break down those fights. We're going to have Portland. I see a variety of people on. If you want to press 1, join in. Cool. If you're just chilling, I notice, I recognize pretty much the other folks. So what's up? Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. But like I said, 646-381-4990. There's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to get in to listen to the rest of the show, or you can always just watch or listen to it on archive. You can watch it, but you're not going to get that far. Let's see here. So we have, James Kirkland. Well, real quick. James Kirkland's back against Hernandez. This Hernandez dude who, what the hell is his first name? But he's actually, for where James Kirkland is in his career, which that's the big mystery, It's always a mystery with James Kirkland. One is, once he gets in the ring, he's coming to fucking fight. He's like, let's see, I'm going to go to his boxing back. 34-2, 30 knockouts. I mean, his only 2 losses were knockouts, right? And years ago, HBO was pushing him. And he looked every bit the part of a knockout artist, just a brawler, but he just couldn't stay focused as far as coming in the ring prepared all the time. And him and Ann Wolf, she used to beat him up in camp, and he would say, I'd be broken down, right? And that's why he's not with her anymore, but he'd also have some of his best performances with her. So it is what it is. But here's the deal, and I'm looking at it now because I was trying to find out. It was his last. So he fought in May 2015 against Canelo, right? And so he was off for more than 4 years because he returned last summer at the end of it, August 24th. Then he fought in November. So hopefully sometime in the summer he was getting into shape, and then he had like a mini camp probably. I don't even know if it'd be a full 7 or 8 weeks. I think he's probably just in shape. They probably called it. I have no clue, though. And then he did get another fight. So another camp, another fight. So now he's getting a camp, and it's Anthony Hernandez. And, by the way, that's who he's fighting. That's going to be in March. It's March 14th on FS1. And this could be an all-out brawl right here. And this is just kind of – Hernandez is a perfect guy stylistically, like a good TV fight. And also, it's like a measuring stick of how close am I back. Because like I said, with Kirkland, dude, you just don't know. That's a long time to be out of the ring. I have seen some people dumping on this matchup. Like, oh, that's a crappy fight. I mean, what should Kirkland do? Like, the dude was out for over 4 years. He's trying to make a comeback. I'm not going to rip this fight because just wait till that night. It's going to be a brawl. Not only that, but this dude's not a chump. Like, a couple years ago, he had a draw with Rosario. Now, he fought a good fight with them not long ago, and he did get TKO'd. He also went against that Kevin Newman, who was an unbeaten prospect when he faced him. And he beat him and then lost to him. He also fought Kyron Davis, who some people were high on for a second. So you can look at his record, and some people do that. 14-3. Oh, dude, 14-3-1. You suck. But I mean, he hasn't. You know, it's not like he fought Rosario twice. That's not like some kind of easy fight. And that Newman was a prospect. He fought him twice. Like, considering he doesn't have that many fights, Hernandez, like I said, I don't mind the fight at all. I think it's going to be a good action fight. I think it's a good measuring stick because on that broadcast, they can tell you, hey, they can say, hey, we saw Rosario. He just pulled off Julian Williams' upset. And no matter what, Kirkland has a name. Now, it's long faded, right? Because 4 years went by. But he was a staple on HBO, dude. They were trying to push him. He fought Canelo in front of – and he got knocked out. It was a brawl, but he got knocked out really bad. That was in the biggest audience on HBO because that peaked over 2 million. I believe since Oscar De La Hoya and Stevie Forbes back in 2008. So, I mean, that was on free HBO. Remember, it was at that arena. It was at the old StubHub, but not the tennis court, the arena. The stadium, the soccer stadium. I think is it the Galaxy? They play there? But anyway, so yeah, that's I always like Kirkland for entertainment value, but yeah, I mean, we don't know where he's at, so why not give him a guy where he's supposed to win? But this dude's gonna be game. He's gonna fight. He's gonna bring it, dude. So I like the fight. I don't mind the fight. Stanonius and Deloach is the co-feature, and I think that's a good fight. Step up. I think that's a good step up for what is it, Stanonius, something like that. I can't remember, but he's a pretty good prospect on the rise. And Deloach is a guy that's that journeyman right now, that gatekeeper, fringe guy who has fought Rosario and some other guys. So we'll see Gallimore and some other folks too. So I think that's a decent step up. I actually like those two fights. I don't mind that at all. Shakur Stevenson returns against Miguel Mariaga. That is official now. We knew it was going to happen. Now it's official. March 14th on ESPN. It's going to be at the Garden Theater, the Hulu Madison Square Garden Theater, which I think is a good spot for it. Kind of funny, but kind of makes sense. 3 days later on St. Patrick's Day, at that same venue, the Hulu Theater at the MSG, Madison Square Garden, Michael Conlon returns. So that makes a lot of sense for Conlon. It's not like it's the Garden back-to-back. You know what I mean? That would make no sense. They wouldn't even do that. They wouldn't allow it, actually. But we know Conlon's going to put some good butts in the seats there, and it'll be on. A lot of people will have that day off, And then because they're out celebrating, and then Stevenson is not from New York, but he's from New Jersey, so it's in the realm. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I forgot the co-feature. Damn. What the hell is the co-feature? I can't remember the co-feature. I'll check. Or well, I guess what the hell is the co-feature? I had it on the top of my head too. Anyway, thing I like about this fight. Now I know, some people are like, oh, dude, Marriaga, he already fought Oscar Diaz a while ago, and it's kind of a running joke. Like, is he gonna fight every top-ranked dude? I hear you, but did you watch that fight with Oscar Valdez? Did you watch Valdez against Marriaga, dude? That was a brawl. That was a good-ass fight. And if you're going to fight a guy that's going to be aggressive next, Josh Warrington, who he will be aggressive, I think this is – dude, look at where Stevenson is in his prospect career. Or, well, he's a champion, whatever. But, you know what I mean? He's like a contender in my eyes right now. So, because I know I'm going to maybe catch some flack for calling him a contender. He has a belt. It is what it is. I don't care about belts like that. But he's coming off a really good win over Uet Gonzalez. Maybe he's on the undercard. No, he's not. No, he's on. He just actually got announced on a DAZN card. But where Shakur Stevenson is at his career level, how many fights he's had, what would be wrong with a Marriaga fight? I think it's a really good fight for him. I'm excited. I want to see how he handles that pressure, and I think it's a good matchmaking for television, right? But also for who they got next. They don't fight the same, sure. I mean, not many people do, but I do like the pressure that he can bring, Marriaga. And he's coming, dude. He's coming for your lunch money. And you either fight him or you give it to him. And I think Shakur Stevens is going to fight him. What else we got here? Ivan Redkach. So Ivan Redkach by the New York State Sports Athletic Condition, or New York State Athletic. Man, I am all over the place. Commission. They fined him a large sum and gave him a year suspension for biting Danny Garcia. And I actually don't have a problem on the surface with this fine, and you're going to get suspended. You bit somebody. A year seems fine, but when you start to, add up how many people have, just not just with them, but just in general, commissions in a lot of places, but when you focus on them too, just in general, we've seen, these fighters pop for PEDs and not get disciplined. Now, I understand that Big Baby Miller didn't have his license technically, because you got to keep re-upping the license. It expires after a while, and he hadn't gone through the physical and all that to get licensed, so they didn't actually discipline him, because that was out of their jurisdiction, which makes sense if you think about it. It sucks, but it makes sense. But if he fights in Madison Square Garden, or in New York, anywhere, he's going to have to go through. He's probably going to have that board meeting, and they could actually still put 6 months on him. I don't think they will, but it's just funny to see like commissions throughout and what they do to cheats or what they don't do to cheats. But then when they do to this, and like I said, the biting, yeah, you're going to get suspended, dude. I don't have a problem with the suspension, but it's just, if you look at, it's just ironic that they're ready to take care of business on this shit, but other stuff, let's not talk about it. So, did Redkach got screwed somewhat, but he's obviously not innocent in this. You know what I mean? Obviously. So that does suck for him though, because it's like, I wish they put their foot down for some of this other stuff. Devin Haney is not. He may be not a top 10 lightweight, according to Bob Arum. Something's up with the audio right now. Actually, you know what? I could just go right to the video and tweak it. But and I saw it on Fight Hub. And, he was basically saying there may be 10 better lightweights. There might be 10 better lightweights. He's just green. And so anyway, I put out a tweet today saying, I was on the IBO rankings page, which actually, forget the IBO, forget all the belts, but IBO, whatever, we don't need it. But if you go to their page, it's a good thing to look for like top 50. And it's cool because you see their records real quick. Maybe you've seen a couple of their fights, but you haven't seen 10 of their fights. So you're like, oh, yeah, okay, so he also fought him. Oh, he's got a record against top 50 like that. And I don't know. I like the way they organize it. And the rankings are just better than the other freaking sanctioning belts on average. That's why I go to that, because it's just a good organizational place. If you're projecting what kind of fights are going to happen for certain guys and what platform has who and that type of thing, it's really easy just to go to the IBO and you can go to all the divisions. But anyway, yeah, I refreshed the page and everything, and I couldn't find 10 guys that were clearly better than Haney. But that was his point to Marcos, the guy who runs the stuff over that Fight Hype. He was saying, he's just too green. He's not ready for it. Just because he's with the only reason why he's getting any kind of buzz is because he's making a lot of money. He signed this contract with Eddie where he's making $1 million a fight, but basically he's just too green for the fight. That's what he says. Which I don't think he's too. He is green, but I don't think he's too green. I think he should at least get a fight in there. But we'll see. We'll see where Haney goes. Haney is actually rehabbing. He won't be back until early summer. So hopefully he's back and healthy. And, I think we've come to the time frame that we're going to go over some fun boxing Twitter stuff. Sometimes when you look at Twitter, it just makes you laugh to the point where you're almost crying. It can piss you off. It can do a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? By the way, and just some other new stuff, too, as we go. It is now more than ever, seems like Gilberto Ramirez is going to be bought out of his top-rank contract. He's going to buy out and sign with Eddie Hearn and DAZN and fight Demetrius Bivol. He has a decision still he can make about the Alvarez fight. There's not many more days. But he actually can. He can still take that fight if he wanted to. But the rumor is he's going to do that instead. I don't know if it's true, but it kind of sounds like it. So we'll see. By the way, this is what Gervonta posted and then deleted on his Instagram. He said, "I never once hit her. Yeah, I was aggressive and told her, come on, that's the mother of my child. I would never hurt her, blah, blah, blah." Yeah, well, anyway, I forgot to add that to the story. I'm actually going through some of these tweets, and I just saw that. Anthony, I forgot to mention this, another Angulo. God, I forgot. It wasn't a great fight by any stretch of the watch, but he was a plus 850. Romero, Angulo. Dude, that was a big upset over Anthony Sims. I forgot about that. I'm now looking at this here. That's right, dude. Holy shit. But anyway, I don't know, dude. You know what I mean? It's it is what it is. But, dude, here's another thing. Now, I saw an interview with Fury, and he said he can't take any chances sparring the amount of stuff he wants to spar, the amount of rounds he wants to spar because of that cut. Well, dude, you got to be sharp. When you're fighting Fury. Fury has to be sharp when you're fighting Wilder. That's a little really, dude? So how many rounds are you sparring? Are you, like, what's going on? Are they just hitting you to the body? Are they, I don't know. He said, you said it, not me. But I was a little worried when I heard about that because it's like, well, how much are you limiting sparring? You can't limit it that much. That's a little shaky to me. I remember that. I'm looking through my tweets that I was checking out news and stuff like that, and man, Oh, okay. So anyway, here's a couple of tweets. So there's somebody online that was saying, basically looking for because the Wilder and Fury. I wanted to talk about this too. Wilder and Fury, the commercial. They ran it twice before the Super Bowl started during the Super Bowl pregame. And one was fairly close to the start. And one was probably maybe, I don't know, half hour out. It wasn't that far behind or ahead of that one. So that was cool to play a full commercial there, right? Then it went down to like a 15-second clip and was just more abrupt in there. And the first time they did it was in the first wave after halftime hit. So halftime hit, and as we know, actually the biggest peak of the event was average-wise was 103 million. The whole event basically averaged about 99.9 million homes just on Fox. Now, if you put in Fox Deportes, it's in other streaming. It was up to 102 million homes. And I think like I said, the halftime show averaged 103 million homes. So it's a good spot. People were like, oh, it's halftime, It's like, well, I hear you, but halftime is the halftime show, so people are still tuning in. And during the Super Bowl, I saw a lot of smearing to an extent because it's like they're going to show 10 different Wilder Fury extended 30 seconds or not even 30 seconds, but a minute commercials. Some people are still like, oh, dude, this doesn't even count. And it's like, oh, come on now. And I can understand some folks from the UK who don't realize the Super Bowl and because I also saw, well, great, it's during the commercial breaks. It's like, well, dude, what are they going to stop the game? You think they're going to get all these great ads during the game in the Super Bowl? Like, dude, beggars can't be choosy here now. I mean, boxing usually doesn't get this look, but the first one I saw during the actual live game coverage was right, like the first wave of commercials before the halftime performance. So that is a good spot. Then I believe it was later in the game. Was it late third quarter or was it fourth quarter? I can't remember, but there was another one, and I believe it was another 15-second clip. Then the game was over, and the game just picked up as it went on. It did look at, 20-10 with like 7-8 minutes left, and Kansas City came back, ended up winning it. And so basically when they win, there's a big celebration, right? And you see the team celebrating on the field. They got just a wave of stuff going on. And then they do like a somewhat quick interview with either the coach or, in this case, it was the coach and Patrick Mahomes. Then, so it's a chunk of minutes. I don't know if it's 8 or 10 or 15. I don't know, but it's after the game. So they haven't gotten to any commercials. They just go right to the celebration. But then there is, the MVP award ceremony and the Lombardi Trophy award ceremony, and people do watch that. So after the celebration part, they went to commercial, and that was just a shortened Wilder Fury, and had Wilder landed 2 punches on Fury, and that last, that 12th round thing. And so it was a very shortened one, but it was actually during a good spot again because there are plenty of fans that are waiting for the MVP award, and they just like to watch the official ceremony. It only comes in the next. It's not like they delay it 30 minutes or something like that. So that was another good place. Then they had a show. Was it The Masked Singer or whatever? That did big numbers. they ran a full commercial during that. So it's about 4 to 5 times they brought it up in, say, probably a 5 or 6 hour span of pregame, the game, and then postgame slash, the show after. And I bring up the show after because that averaged well in the 20 millions. That show did well into the 20 millions. So that's pretty big. And the show before it, the pregame show, it's a 4.5 hour show. And that averaged 21 million homes. And as you got to an hour, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, that peak just went way up. Yeah, sure, 2-3 hours before the game, people aren't watching it intently. But there was a couple of people on Twitter that were like, dude, nobody watches the pregame. Somebody said, ain't nobody watching pregame. Been paying the attention to the hashtag. I don't see any new fans excited about it. This is producer JC on Twitter. He was saying, nobody watches the pregame. Now, I know he says nobody watches, but, if the thing averaged 21 million people, what do you think it was peaking in the last hour, in the last half hour? And that's when they ran the ads. So it was kind of like, all right, dude, and I'm not just pointing to him. There was a variety of other people saying this, but and then, like I said, I think the show after it averaged like 22 or 25 or 21 or I don't remember, but it was it was 20 million plus. So I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good numbers. You know what I mean? But it was nice to see. It was nice to see. And if you go over the hashtag during, once they showed the first commercial, and then even after that, like the pregame stuff, and then after they ran the commercial, and then during it, you could see there was some movement on that, and it did get it got more attention than you'd think this far out. And I also, with the Wilder Fury promo, we were wondering exactly what ESPN's going to do 2, 3, 4 weeks out, right? And now it's been about 10 days ago, I watched an NBA game, and they had a commercial during that. And now during college basketball on ESPN, so on ESPN for NBA and college basketball, and on ABC once in a while, ESPN2 as well, right? You'd assume and hope that they, during every game they do, that the Fury Wilder commercial would be in them, especially if they're the primetime bigger games. Because we know Fox, when they have games and other stuff, other sports, and especially FS1, no matter what's on, they're going to run that fucking commercial, and they're going to beat you down with it. That's just how they do it. It's coming. Hey, by the way, it's coming. So we don't get fights that in late December get a run in front of the college football semifinals, which is around 20 million. And what was that? 2 weeks later for the championship game. Then during the playoffs for the NFL in the conference final, and also, for the Super Bowl. And now, like I said, any college basketball and in the XFL, which is like a knockoff spring league, that's starting this spring, this weekend, I should say. And it's like a winter spring league. It's only like 12 weeks or something, or 11 weeks or something like that. But if you look at it, if you look at that other league that they kind of throw together too quickly, it went out of business. They lost a bunch of money. But it really had to do with what they had for TV, their platforms. They got really good ratings right off the bat when they were on CBS. But then it went to like NFL Network and CBS Sports Network, and those just aren't. They don't have the content. The CBS Sports Network doesn't have the content that ESPN, ESPN2, FS1 has. It's just the bottom line. They don't, on average. They may be in as many homes or a lot of homes, but it's all about content and branding, as we know. So, and by the way, this last FS1 card did good. It was in the 300,000. One of the better ones they've had. Anyway, I forgot to mention that. I just saw this on a piece of paper. And it made me think about it with the FS1. But now I'm seeing, I mean, that the Lakers' first game after RIP Kobe Bryant passed away, that thing averaged like 4.4 or something like that. There was a commercial during that. So to have ESPN from here until February 22nd, and even the day of, they're going to have a nice block of time for the prelims on ESPN and Fox. This is really going to get a lot of people name recognition of like, oh, now do they buy the fight? We'll see. But between the advertising on ESPN and Fox and FS1 and ESPN2 and ABC potentially too, and then also the almost 2 million people that were live streaming it here, how many of those folks can they get? Can they get an extra 100,000 or 200,000 from the 2 million, almost, I think it was 1.9 people that streamed it illegally? Can they get that word of mouth off of those people? Will those people get some people together or a buddy together and rent it? We'll see. We'll see. But either way, it's good to see. But I mean, some of this stuff, like, just today I saw this tweet, and I've been following this guy for a while. We give each other heat back and forth. We also, like some of our tweets. I've been following him for a while. Same with here. But he's basically like, they were talking about Al Heyman, and somebody said that they don't have enough prospects for what's coming. Like, they don't have enough prospects to fulfill their dates and to be strong, and they need to start investing in prospects because their guys are in their early 30s, and they just don't have enough guys that are going to be past their prime in a couple of years. And that's debatable. It is what it is. But basically, this dude said there's a caste system at PBC. There's Al's chosen ones, the legacy guys he pilfered from Golden Boy Promotions, which when he says pilfered, there was buyout contracts. We know how that worked out, too. You can use that word, but there was a buyout contract. Oscar De La Hoya said he was going to sell it, then decided not to. He knew he knew there was going to be a buyout. And a handful of guys he's highlighting, paying careful attention to matchmaking and TV highlights. The rest, they're on their own. Match tough. He doesn't care. If I was a manager of a promising boxer who wanted a decent career, I just said decent career, not this great career, a star, whatever. He just says decent. If I was a manager of a promising boxer who wanted even a decent career, I would, capital letters, never recommend signing with the PBC if I had a choice. And like I said, I've read silly stuff, not just from boxers, but from people that they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, you see it across the board, anti-PBC, pro-PBC, anti-DAZN, pro Top Rank, whatever the hell the case is. But some of these tweets, dude, you just can't make it up. You just can't make it up. Now, here's another guy. He says, this is about the Charlo situation at Andrade. Why in the world would Charlo go over there to fight a guy that fought nobody at 160? I mean, sure, he hasn't fought one of the top guys, but nobody. For really what amounts to almost chump change. And it's like, well, it doesn't almost amount to chump change. Because, and I've seen this guy tweet, he's a fanboy for PBC, obviously, but why would you go to a platform no one cares about or watching? It's not going to help your fan base for chump change to fight Andrade that nobody cares about. Now, I understand a Derevyanchenko fight and Eubank Jr. fight to a casual fight fan, that can mean just as much as Andrade. They don't fucking know these guys. I get it. Derevyanchenko is probably the most known guy right now, and that's only because, he just fought Galahad. He just fought Golovkin. So that's the only reason why. But it's like, what do you mean chump change? So 6 or 7 million is chump change? Okay, boxing Twitter, whatever you say. So that's about it. I'm not going to even look up that one video. As far as this weekend, though, I'm going to break down these fights, especially the main event on Showtime. And then we're going to go to Portland. We'll let him shut this thing down. He'll have plenty of time. I cut off some of his time, and I shouldn't have last week. He's going to get even more time if he wants it. So we have, there is a Panama, Luis Concepcion and Marrero fighting for a vacant WBA. Vacant, this is what I love about the WBA. It's just ridiculous. A vacant WBA interim flyweight title. Oh, boy. But DAZN and Ring TV, which I couldn't find these fights on DAZN at the start when they did this before, but hopefully they got it. They have a card on Thursday. I do like the ideas of these Thursdays. Kell Brook, this is February 8th on Saturday for DAZN and Sky Sports for the UK. What's up, UK fight fans? I just sounded like what's-her-toes. What's up, fight fan? Kell Brook against Mark DeLuca. Hey, you got a problem? Go to DeLuca. He'll fucking handle it. You know what I'm talking about? He might DeLuca you, but he may, who knows? You're not gonna have the problem. But Kell Brook is back, and he just needs a fight to fucking get someplace. He just needs a camp. He needs to make weight, and he just needs to fucking look decent. That's his thing. We'll see where he goes. I really hope he stays at junior middleweight. But then again, I mean, who's he gonna fight at junior middleweight? How flexible is Eddie gonna? If he fights here, is he gonna let him go to PBC or Fox, or is he probably throw some money at these guys? Is my guess, but we'll see. Also, Kid Galahad and Claudio Marrero for an IBF featherweight eliminator. I really like this fight. This is a good fight right here. Kid Galahad, Marrero. That works for me. There's also a women's lightweight WBC. What is it? Lightweight. Wallstrom. Eva Wallstrom against Terry Harper. David Allen's fighting on the card as well. What else we got? Pain Boxing Facebook and YouTube. Daytona Beach. Evan Holyfield is fighting a 4-rounder. That's what it's got listed, and that's all it's got listed. Mendez and Mendoza in Panama are fighting that day too. Man, it's Ukraine even has one. A fight for some. Oh, I actually know that. What is it? Delakian against Perez. So some of these fights could be sleepers. You never know. Like I said, the Galahad. To me, the Galahad and Marrero fight stands out. About 7 Gary Russell Juniors, or Gary Russell's Antonio, Antoine, a bunch of dudes are coming back. Gary Russell's are coming back. On the card, Gervonta Clark against Link. I don't know Link. I don't believe anyway. But anyway, as we get to it, we got a prospect, Jamie Arbeloa. He's fighting Jason Valdez, and that's for an eliminator. That could be a good style matchup. Guillermo Rigondeaux against Marrero Solis. Here's another WBA, baby. Vacant WBA regular bantamweight. And they're giving that to Rigo because, he was the lineal at 122. This is at 120 or 118. So I think Solis is a good way to just dip your feet into that weight class. Let's make sure he can feel good at the weight class. But, I mentioned last week, they got some people, Fulton, and they got a variety of people there. So the PBC does. And that 118 is deep as hell. NUA. I mean, there's a ton. Casemiro. I mean, there's a ton of dudes. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be interesting. But I'm looking forward to them fighting, not necessarily this fight. Let's see if Rigo, comes out there and wants to put on a show like he did in this last fight. I don't know. But then Gary Russell Jr. against Nyambayar. They call him King Tug, okay? This dude's pretty good, man. I'm not going to sit there and, I'm not going to call him MJ like last week. I felt confident enough to pick him. I'm not picking him, but I think people are sleeping on this. And Gary Russell Jr. fight once a year. injuries have affected his career. We got to bring that up. But he was okay fighting once a year, and he knows the mandatory system. Usually, when he comes back, he has to fight a Mando. Sometimes they've been sometimes they've been just garbage. Sometimes they've been pretty good. But his title defenses. I mean, you have Joseph Diaz Jr. That's a solid fight. Looked a lot better now, doesn't it? But either way, it was a good fight. Good performance by him. But when he says he's been the reigning champ for so long, it's like, yeah, you've been fighting once a year, though, dude. So calm down. But now I'm willing to clean the slate momentarily, or not momentarily, but for this year. I'm not gonna sit there and, I'm gonna take him by his word. He wants to fight more than once this year. Knock on wood, I'm knocking on it. I don't know if you can hear that. I want him to. I really like watching Gary Russell fight. Super fast hands and everything like that. Of course, we know. Very talented. Looking for the big fight. He said I have Leo Santa Cruz next, which he still could get. It could be his next fight. He's fighting in February, like I mentioned earlier, so he's set up to be able to fight. Even if he, knock on wood, took an injury to his hand, even if it's a minor one, because he usually messes up his hand a little bit, unfortunately. And that's the thing. People don't understand. When you fight once a year, a lot of people are, now because Gary Russell is being vocal, now they're siding with him. Oh, dude, nobody wants to fight him. Well, hold on, dude. If you fight once a year, that one fight, like if you're going to fight Leo Santa Cruz or someone, Gervonta or something like that, and you've been out for 10 months or 9 months, you're going to get a tune-up. Or you're going to have the Mando. So let's say he fights. Well, a lot of times he would get hurt in that fight. Well, there goes your big fight because you got to be out for 6 months. Or you got to be out for a couple months to heal. A lot of that came into that, too. It's not just him screaming for it. And he's given many interviews that he was happy with fighting once a year. And he's gone through that whole, I know the Mando system. I'm very familiar with it. I got to be able to, I'm okay with it, I'm looking for the big fight. Well, sometimes you got to grow your buzz and get going and then get the big fight. Either way, he could still get Leo. Even if Leo fights, that could be his next fight, But he said, if I don't get Leo next, he said he was promised a big fight. He was promised Santa Cruz by Al, I think. So he can still get Santa Cruz. It might be coming off a loss. Would he get him then? I don't know. But it's pointing to Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz fight. And it's not like he can complain about February till later the year because that would still be twice a year at least. He's used to long layoffs. And I'll tell you what, considering how long a layoffs he has, most of the time he looks pretty fucking good. So it tells you he's staying in the gym, So we'll see. But either way, this guy he's fighting, his last fight was over a year ago. So that doesn't help him. And like I said, he beat an unbeaten prospect that I don't really rate that high, per se. Escandón is like, he's Oscar. He's past his prime when he fought him. This was it's about a year and it's almost 2 years ago. Knocked him out, but this last fight against Claudio Marrero went 12 rounds. I think he has enough rounds to kind of be ready to go as a pro. And this dude has a very, very decorated amateur career. He won the silver medal in the 2012 London Olympics. He actually lost 17-14 to that Ramirez, Robesi or whatever, the dude who got lost in his first fight. Remember that happened last year, not long ago. So that's who he lost to in the finals. Now, that doesn't fucking add up too much. I mean, look at Porter beat Usyk. You know what I mean? But he is with Heyman. And like I said, he's gone. He got to go the 12-round distance, which actually helps. He went 8 rounds with that prospect. And a knockout TKO win he had over some dude I don't totally remember too much about. Jamino. God, that's something that I have seen that guy fight. I just can't. I can't. This is 3 years ago. Oh, that's where he was actually. I don't know if it was televised, but no, I don't think it was televised. I think it was streamed by. Well, no, it wouldn't have been Showtime because this was on Fox. This was actually a undercard fight for I believe it was Washington and Wilder. But he went almost 10 rounds in that. So he's been almost basically 10 rounds, right? Because it was a minute 5 left in the 10th round. He scored the TKO. Then he went 8 rounds, and he went 12 rounds. So he is ready to go. He brings a skillful but yet an aggressive style. He's trying to get you out of there. He's a fun fighter to watch. This is going to be a lot of pop and a lot of speed in the ring. That I do know. So this could be a good fight, dude. You know, I think Gary Russell will win the fight. I really do. I think he will. I think he's just going to be a little too much for him. Being that, you know, he's been in there with Lomachenko, so he's not going to be worried about it. He didn't get knocked around the ring all over the place, or he just got out. He just got outclassed. But this is going to be a tough fight. I see the odds. It's more like a side like plus 300, plus 350, somewhere in that realm. That's the last time I saw it. But you know, I mean, if you feel like Gary Russell's looking ahead or something like that, with all these upsets of late, you know, I don't know. I just think that these guys got, like I said, it's going to be a fun fight to watch. It really is. I think it'll be a good fight. I thought the Russell Diaz fight was a competitive, good fight, but, you know, clearly Diaz took too long to get going. You know, I don't think King Tug is going to take a ton to get going. Now, I'm not saying first round, here we go, dude. You know, Hagler Hearns. You know, that's not it. I don't know. I just look for this to be a really good fight. And what I mean by really good fight, just super competitive, a lot of skill in the ring. Both of them, I think King Tug's a little too aggressive. So I'm wondering if it's, you know, when he's going to go into that realm. Is he going to go right to it? Because, like I said, this dude's fun to watch. I just don't know if he's as defensive, responsible as Gary Russell, or even as last week, that type of style, an underdog. Like last week, sorry, I just got a couple of texts I didn't read. And my text messages are kind of the chat during the podcast. I am tired. I didn't get much sleep last night. Anyway, I'll bore you with my details. I just don't think like MJ, right? Last week, who upset Roman, which really wasn't an upset. It's a 50-50 fight going in. You see how like he was so. I think he's got better footwork. I don't think this guy's got as good as footwork as Gary either. So I think at some point he's going to start to get hit flush and hard, and he may go try to fluster or like overwhelm Russell, and I think he's going to get caught in time. I wouldn't doubt if he gets dropped. Not like Russell's got a ton of power, but he's got plenty of pop, and that timing and hand speed on Russell is pretty. I mean, he's got the fastest hands in the sport. So I like Gary Russell by decision, but look for this to be a competitive, fun fight within the rounds. I'm saying about 9-3, something like that. 9-3, maybe 8-4, but I think Gary's just a little too defensive for him. Not that Russell, you know, he'll throw hands and not war style, but he'll throw combos and quick flashes. But I just think he's going to get a little wide with his punches, whereas Russell's a straighter puncher. but I look for this to be a good fight. I look at this as a good matchup. If you're looking at mandatories, this is a good mandatory. This is a good man. It's not some roll away, they're just setting them up for Leo Santa Cruz. This dude's with Heyman. And you know Gary Russell's got a rematch clause, but Heyman can't be liking what, Gary has been saying. And some of it, I hear what Gary Russell's saying, but other times it's Gary Russell too. I mean, let's be honest. Over the years, you can't just look at one clip from one video. Search the last couple of years of Gary. He says a lot of different stuff. But I've always liked watching him. I always respect him. We've had him on the show back when it was more of a, interview format. And I like this new Russell. I think he realizes he's got a couple of years left, maybe only a handful of fights left. And let's get it in. And dude, if Gary fought and won, right, which I think he will, and then fought this year, dude, he's going to be sharp. He's going to be sharper than he's already sharp. So I'm willing to get, hey, Gary, I'm not going to sit there and defend you at every angle like these dudes are doing to Andre now. Not at every angle, but I will defend you, Gary Russell Jr. At this point, you are calling out the names. Are you being picky with the amount of money? I don't think so now. So let's go. Let's do it. I'm with you, dude. I'm on the Gary Russell train. Let's see if they deliver you a big fight. And I'd have to say that's Leo Santa Cruz. But you never know, dude. Let's see if this is going to be a good fight. Anyway, I'm going to pass it along here to Portland. Portland, we got a little under 13 minutes, so you got plenty of time to finish it off. What's going on, Portland 503? How the hell are you, buddy?
Hey, yo, what up? What up, Chris? Hey, yo, I'm doing good, man. Beautiful Oregon. It's cold as fuck, but, it is what it is. I hope you had a great Super Bowl Sunday. Pretty good game, got to say. I was pretty entertained, you know what I mean? I'm not a football person, but it was pretty cool. But how's everything going, Chris? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. You don't have to worry about me. We're not going to talk about Danny Garcia, so you don't have to worry about me cutting you off or anything like that. Take it out of your time. I'm doing good, man. We did have a good game. It kind of looked like the Niners were going to take it when they're up 20-10 and running the shit out of the ball, but that's not how it went down.
Nah. Yeah, that was cool, though, man, because this is really the only time I really kind of I'm a casual fan, really, really casual fan of this stuff, but I saw the whole thing. I liked it. You know what I mean? It was even for a while, and then once it got to the halftime part, it was even, and I like that going into the second half of the game. And also too, let me the halftime, man, the halftime show, it was lit. I liked it. I was pissed off a lot of people.
I forgot to talk about the halftime show. Oh my God, dude, I loved it, dude. I loved it. That once they started rapping Spanish, I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, them Latinos, man. They're fucking. I think that guy was a Cuban, if I'm not mistaken, rapper. But yeah, man, they did the damn thing. I mean, J-Lo,
it was perfect
Puerto
for
Rican.
Miami, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was nice.
Like, that's what it was for.
It was, man. It was. I mean, it was like the weather was beautiful.
It's called culture, people out there. If you had a problem with them rapping Spanish, it's called culture. We have some of it in America. Let's learn more about it.
Exactly, bro. And, it pissed off a certain group of people, but, I enjoyed it. I mean, with these kind of things, what's so funny, man? I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist, but I'm like, every time there's a halftime show, I always wonder what the conspiracy theory is about that halftime show, of like what satanic, whatever you believe that, you know what I mean? That kind of shit. But this time it was just about, they were just, cultural, like it wasn't appreciate it. People are like, oh, they had these hot girls, fucking dancing, and people, I don't know, whatever, man. It, like you said, it was the culture. It is, you know what I mean? It is that, you know what I mean? But I enjoyed it. It was a good halftime show. It was a good game. That's all I could really say. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, but as far as that, yeah, good Super Bowl Sunday. The Chiefs won. Congratulations to them. But let's get into boxing, man. This is what we're here for, man. First of all, if you notice, man, I'm always backing up the Mexicans, and a certain Mexican got it done, man. Fuck yeah, dude. I was so excited, man. I was hyped up for this fight. I stayed away from boxing Twitter, the whole night until I got off of work, because I was on a Thursday night, right? And I enjoyed it, man. The JoJo Diaz over fucking Tevin Farmer, man. What a good fight, man. What a great fight, and what a good upset in my eyes. But what a weird and awkward kind of situation for Tevin. Like you said, like it was weird. He was like hiccuping, like in the corner, like looking up, and always constantly looking up, like weird.
Halfway through the round, blinking and shit.
Mm-hmm. Dude, definitely weird. Like the Anthony Joshua thing too, like weird. You know what I mean? Like with the Andrew Ruiz fight, the first fight, weird. Like something happened weird, or you know what I mean? Like this one, like it was weird. Like the whole time he kept looking up, and also too the fucking the broadcasters they kept saying this isn't the normal Tevin Farmer we're used to seeing. Like he's not fighting slick. He's just fighting in the middle, and it's like, I don't know. It is what it is, but JoJo Diaz got the win, and you can't hate on that, man. He got that win, and he deserved it, man. I mean, they both had a date for this fight. They both had the time to get ready. Oh yeah. Talk about that cut. Yeah, dude, and that happened in the second round. Dude, yep. I was hoping they didn't stop it just because it was in Miami.
I thought for sure it was going to be over. I didn't think he'd make it all 12 rounds.
No, either did I, man, just because knowing it was in Miami, and I'm sure Tevin Farmer was the A side going in there. So I was really worried about that, but I was seeing the cut throughout the fight, and you got to give a big shout out to his cut man, because he did a good job. It didn't really bleed as much as it should have. It looked good in my honest opinion, and but damn, he got through that fucking motherfucker and won that shit, man, decisively, dude. I thought it was a unanimous decision for JoJo. No split, no majority. It was 100% to JoJo, and congratulations to him. He's the belt holder now. I believe the IBF. Congratulations to him and Golden Boy, man. They got one. So that's dope, man. He finally kind of got a fight, man. He finally got a highlight real fight, man, that we could talk about and be keep hyping this guy up, because he remember he fought Gay Russell.
Now we just need Oscar to show up to his fighters' fights.
Yeah, right. He probably, dude, he stood away from Miami, dude. He didn't want to, that land,
dude,
bro. It's Candyland.
That's a good call. I take that back. That's a good call. He don't get to get Miami, dude. That's a good call.
He would have checked himself into rehab that next day, dude. Like, bro, it would have been bad. I'm sure the temptation is too bad out there, man. He probably wanted to go, but he understood.
100% wrong. I'd take that all the way back, dude. You're right. You don't need to be on that weekend, dude. He'll be hanging out with Gervonta weekend, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of Gervonta, man, all I can say is what a disgusting and embarrassing and disgrace of a situation. Like, dude, you should really be embarrassed to act like that in public, like, for someone that you tweeted about saying that, oh, this is the mother of my children, I would never hit her, and, supposedly you love her and you're going to act like that. And, you know what I mean? It looked terrible, bro. Like, dude, it was like the crowd reaction, like the women that were there, like that were like, holy shit, like did that really just happen? Like, dude, that's insane. That dude should be completely embarrassed. And, I believe he's in jail right now or something like that. And
yeah, he got a simple battery, I think is what he got charged with.
Simple battery, yeah, man. It's what an embarrassing act, but it is boxing, man. I mean, look at the Kovalev situation. He was still able to get a Canelo fight. So it's boxing, bro. Shakur Steven having that little situation scuffle there. It is what it is, man. But Gervonta will get that, Santa Cruz fight, and he will probably most likely be on pay-per-view. So if the only thing really, man, if you didn't like that situation like me, man, you can only hope, Santa Cruz gets that W, or he gets sparked out by Santa Cruz, and that's a reach, but
right.
We'll see. You can only hope for that because Gervonta, I don't see anything happening, here, man. It's boxing. Floyd got to fight. Everybody gets to fight, man. It's not much of a. It's not a really big deal for boxers. In my honest opinion, it's a big deal for NFL, right, or basketball.
Yeah, but they don't
or
put
any
a
of those
jail
other
either,
big leagues.
though. They get to play. They get minor league. They don't get like crazy discipline either. They just started to now, but for years they did it. Or decades.
Yeah.
Too. So.
Yeah, for decades. Right?
Yeah, our society's backwards when it comes to putting hands on women and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. It's, at the end of the day, end of the day, it's all business,
Yeah, you're right. It's all about the almighty dollar, unfortunately.
Yeah, the guy could put asses to the seats. That's what it's about. I'm sure they'll somehow scrape this, hide it somehow. But it is what it is. It's terrible. It's terrible for the eye of sport,
I'm sure he'll
learn his lesson.
Yeah,
definitely. Say some sort of an apology, maybe. I'm not sure. I remember, like, did he get suspended on Twitter and like something happened to his fucking the other social media? Fuck the other one. I forget. Whatever that one is. Instagram.
I don't know. Yeah.
Instagram. I heard something happened to both of them or some shit, but I don't know. Whatever. It's a disgusting display of a thing to do. Gervonta, you should be ashamed of yourself. It's disgusting. That's all I could say, man. But yeah, man. As far as that, let's move on.
Yeah, we got
also, man. All right. Ugas got the win over his Dallas Jr. Congrats, Ugas, man. I like that you kept composed. I liked your style. You did it. So hopefully you land a good fight. Maybe Danny Garcia or the Porter rematch, man. Hopefully you get something good. And also too, let me talk Raymundo Guajardo versus Clay Collard. What a fucking 2 rounds, man. I was like, Chris, I'm sad what happened of the the decision, but man, there was balls shown. In my opinion, it looked like it was a boy versus a man in there, and it just seemed like, damn, he just got beaten, dude. Like he like you said, he went balls to the walls, and that was probably the bad situation. You should have respected this dude coming in there. Dude, it looked bad, man. Those 2 knockdowns, but then you got your respect at the end of the round. But damn, right. at the second round, man. Damn, bro. I was worried you coming in. I was hoping you boxed. Man, it is what it is, bro. But it's a learning curve. Just learn from this. One fight should not be taken out of your career. You could grow from that. You know what I mean? One loss ain't shit. You know what I mean? But what an incredible fight, man! What an incredible 2 rounds, like you said, first round.
That's the round of the year right there. The round 1.
Round of the year so far, man, and it's going to be hard to beat that one, man. PBC holding it down. They got the prospects, and man, they're. I believe that was the second upset prospect of the night, I believe. But man, what a fight! Jesus Christ, man! Go back, casual fans, go look at that. Raymond Guajardo versus Clay Collard. What a fight! What a fight! What a fucking fight! That's all I can say. Mr. Russell Jr. once a year. I believe if he loses and gets that rematch, I believe that's the only way he comes back for two a year. This time. So I'm also looking forward to Guillermo Rigondeaux, man, the Cuban slick fighter, man. I can't wait for him to see him. Hopefully he could land the Heartbreak Kid fight. I believe they're both at 122 or 126 if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully they can make that happen. That'd be dope. Rigondeaux was a special fighter. Is a special fighter to me. I love watching him fight no matter what. It's always too, man. Before I was looking to Plant's fighting this next weekend. Looking forward to that too, man. But let me get out of here, Chris. Viva Ropa Dope and Viva Mexico.
Thank you as always, man. I appreciate it. We're just gonna wind down. We got like 13 seconds left. Just gonna let the music play. Enjoy the fight this weekend. We'll be back next week. Peace.